Hi, thank you for visiting my channel. If you're new here, my name is Miriam. I'm a numerologist. I listen to your guides, your ancestors, the universe, God, angels, um, whatever it is, honestly. I don't really ask for them to identify themselves. But I start speaking and blabbing my mouth and going on whatever rambling tangent that I do, and for some reason it makes sense to people, um, even whenever I feel like I'm lost in the sauce explaining it. And yeah, so if you're seeing my face, it's because you're supposed to hear something from it. Most of the times, again, if you're new here, my hair will not be done. I don't know where this is gonna do, like this little springy thing right there, but it's gonna be around for punctuation. Okay, look, I see a Pac-Man. Waka 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 waka. I do. And there has been a lot of consumption. Pac-Man is just a game, but I can't help but start making my own little connections in Pac-Man. Um, you eat, the spirit eats you, or you eat the spirit whenever you eat the special thing to make them go blue and blinky. I think it's important to speak on, especially because one of the Gnostic channels that I follow, the esoteric channels that I follow, is speaking about spiritual indigestion. And something personally for me that has been an issue in my life is food. Um, it's nothing special. Honestly, if you're here, you've probably had some type of real interesting relationship with food. Okay? Um, for me, I found out that there was like a specific protein that I couldn't eat: gluten. It's in wheat, barley, and rye. I love rye chips. I love bread. Um, and you remember that Oprah? I love bread. I love bread. And that isn't how she said it. She had like a regular face. That's just the face I have to make the voice. Probably not. I'm doing a parody of a parody of a parody because I've never really seen the moment. It's just in the zeitgeist. Um, and so people talk about cutting out bread. But there are different types of breads, like the soft breads and stuff. You're able to have that. But anyway, wheat isn't so much stuff. Wheat is everywhere. Wheat is a filler. And quite honestly, it's not even that I am intolerant of gluten. Don't bring that shit around me. I'll fight you. No. It's not like it can exist around me. I don't have like some allergy where it's like I need I mean I do have an EpiPen, but that's just in case. I don't know what's going on with people. I just want to be available. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, it is a filler and it's everywhere. Sometimes it's in gravies that don't really need it at all. Sometimes it's in seasonings that don't need it at all. I mean, it's in soy sauce because of barley. And that's all actual food stuff. So for me, that's stuff that I have to look out for. Whenever I'm eating, I cook my food. People don't cook for me. And the only other places that I can eat from are places that are like guaranteed, certified, gluten free kitchens. Those are extremely rare. So that means I have to like travel. like to like really big cities. Like in Las Vegas, they have quite a bit of things. And like from what I've seen, I think maybe like New York, and I think and of course California. So those things. So or the only way to guarantee it is that my kitchen is 100% gluten free, and so I I do that work. Um, I didn't always do that work though. A lot of my life, instead, I ate all those things. I was on a lot of other diets though. I was on a bunch of different diets. Since I was like 10, actually. I always had a big round belly and like skinny arms and legs. But then eventually like my legs did catch up and I was just kind of like a bean shaped. I got what they call a banana back. But I was very round. And like then eventually everything else kind of caught up. And I was just a chubby kid, you know. Whenever I was a teenager, everything else caught up because I was actually able to distribute fat, and I was actually gaining fat at that point. At the time, they were thinking that I was gaining fat, um, but instead, really, what was happening is I was really bloated, and so I had lived my whole life very bloated. I always thought that I was barrel chested, um, and that I just always had a belly, like a belly on top, and then whenever I got pregnant with my first kid, um, I eat a lot of gluten. I didn't know about gluten until my kid was like, well, grown, well, not grown, but like 7 or something. Um, and I got really big. I got to 250. For my stature, that's big. My body instantly gave up. Like, like my tissues, my skin gave way. Of course, stretch marks, but my stretch marks are like from like I'm all stretch mark, y'all. And my body does show the signs of the things that the simple filler did. What it caused for me was constipation, gas, weight gain. Because the funny thing is that even though there was stuff in there, my body was my actual guts were so inflamed. My intestines were inflamed. So that means they weren't able to get nutrients from the food I was eating. So it was saying, "Hold. I'm not done with this yet. Hold on." So by the time it even gets anywhere and it's able to siphon the nutrients, toxins are building up in my body. I really wish I had a doctor that told me this. And I didn't know that. I didn't know any of this. I had to figure it out because I had tried all the other things. I had been vegan, I had been keto, but that still includes wheat. Like, for me, even one snack of wheat will cause a disturbance for months on end in my environment at this point in time. So, at one point, I really took my stuff seriously. The father of my child, and I were no longer together, and I wanted to feel better about myself because I was bigger than I had ever been. I was I was stuck in my 200s, and I didn't really care about my weight because everybody didn't really notice it. I always felt cute. I always dressed cute. Like I always treated myself kindly. I was in actual pain though. Like I was having anxiety and stuff. And my partner had cheated on me and that had affected my self-esteem. And so I went full blown veggies only, meat only type stuff. Maybe not at that time. Like I think it was maybe later on, but I had focused on losing weight at that time, and I did. Then I was a surrogate um, for my family, and I got in shape for that. I met my current partner, and I was still healthy around those times. Eventually, after that pregnancy, then I went all meat diet. I heard about the all meat diet. I wanted to try it because I love myself some meat. So I did, and it worked so well for me. I was doing so good. Like, I was just doing great. Um, Whenever I stopped that diet, because I wasn't consistent. I'm not consistent with things. Especially stuff that costs as much as it does whenever you're eating an all meat diet. Um, when I went back to eating food, I was still eating healthy food or food that was deemed healthy, except it did have wheat in it, and I blew up. Like, I blew up, like, rapidly. My base weight used to be, and I should say trigger warning for all this stuff because I'm just saying numbers, but these numbers don't really mean anything anymore to me, but they meant so much to me at the time. This all kind of seems all over the place, but I think that's a good point for me to bring it up. I'm talking about wheat being a filler and the psychic filler that we have within us as well. So me going to the scale and saying, what's my number, what's my number, what's my number? So I can ruminate on that and deem myself worthy or not worthy for the day. If I spiral or vortex into how I eat for the rest of the day based off of my thoughts. Granted, I still have there's still time for me to digest on this. But whenever we have actual physical indigestion, it does make it difficult for us to actually digest things spiritually. And so whenever you start digesting those things or you start doing stuff for yourself, like I'm going on an all meat diet, but spiritually, like removing social media or removing whatever, and then you start introducing those things back into your life that you had been intolerant of the whole time, your spirit responds to it. The same way my body responded to it, which is it blows up, it inflames, it makes you sick. I got so sick. And maybe I caught a stomach bug or something that affected the flora of my gut, and I don't know. I don't know. But I know that whenever you are sick to your stomach and you aren't feeling good, a lot of times whenever you pull up, what should I eat? Because I need to eat something. They say eat dry toast. The one thing I was not supposed to eat was gluten. And the cure for my sick stomach online was gluten. So I was sick and I was vomiting and I was hurting. So I ended up being stuck in these fasts because, quite simply, I didn't know. And I was sick and I was not okay. And I was figuring it out. I did have fat reserves, so it was fine. But it was not fine. I definitely, because of where my body was at, I was sent on like a walkabout or something spiritually. I was in these forced fasts. I was sleeping. And thank goodness this all happened whenever my kid, like, she's at the point where she could comprehend things, but she's on summer vacation with Gigi and Pop Pop at that time. So I'm like, great, this is the perfect time to go, like, literally just cuckoo bananas and figure it out. And so I'm sick and I'm sleeping all day because I literally have no energy. I'm drinking water because my partner is making sure I drink water. And and juice and smoothies when I could. But it really sent me into a spiritual state because my body was in such a state. I would have prophetic dreams. I was very in tune spiritually. My body wasn't digesting anything anymore, so almost all of my energy was to digesting the spiritual torment that I was in. And as a 9 life path, I have a 9 life path. Hi, hello. 9 life paths tend to, like, if you're a 9 life path as well, you probably have some, like, thumbs down moments for your childhood. It's kind of like the whole point is to, like, see, like, a broad perspective of humanity. And so, yeah, that happened to me. And so a lot of this felt like whenever I was freaking out, it couldn't be my diet. Like, I know now, I give y'all the answer now that it was gluten from the beginning. Yes, after that. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was gluten. It literally took the psychic dream, because my cousin is a psychic, and I say that she's a psychic. She doesn't trust all that, but her dreams are like prophetic. It's weird. Even more than mine. And so she says, hey, don't eat this. It had wheat. Or, like, I look at the box, it says wheat. I don't eat that. And that changed my freaking life. And I was only able to hear her because I was so desperate. Look, could cutting out gluten make you lose weight? Cool. Yes, it can. For sure. Thumbs up. But that is not why I don't eat gluten. I don't eat gluten because quite literally I was so sick from eating it that I had no choice but to cut it out. That is because I have, I will say, relapsed. I have been glutened. I have trusted people who said that they definitely cooked gluten free, even though they didn't do their research. I have eaten from places that say that they give me a gluten free bun, but they still have other things there. I realize that cross contamination is a thing, but I'm like, look, bro, I can't be that worried about gluten all the time. So what I am gonna do instead is just make my own food, and I can cook at home. So then I'm not always worrying, well, what if it was this? Well, what if it was that? Oh no, I haven't pooped today. That means I'm constipated. That means that's a sign. That's a sign I've been glutened. And it is. Those are signs. Like, my body usually works and it can do all the normal body stuff on normal body times. Normal. But what is typical, textbook wise and TCM wise, I can have a regular homeostasis. And whenever that's introduced, my homeostasis is disrupted. And it's for months on end. For me, it takes my menstrual cycle to help really get things out of me. That's some esoteric stuff. I don't know if you know anything, if you are a menstruating person, if you know anything about that. Monchuk, Healing Love Through the Tao. I recommend reading that. Very helpful if you have a uterus. There is some other stuff for people. For pranayama, for like the general pranayama. If you specifically have a uterus and a yoni, then also read that, or also do some research on your specific pranayama based off of your menstruation cycle. Men have cycles every day. So, like, nighttime, you probably feel a little bit more sad. It's because you're PMSing. But it's not PMSing because you don't menstruate. You just have, you have hormonal dips in testosterone levels and stuff like that. And you have other hormones too. Do your own research on your body. Okay? I already have so many hormones in my body to keep up with. I can. I could totally keep track. I know the hormones and stuff. I just don't want to. Okay? Um, Anatomy and physiology was one of my favorite things. I still might end up doing it anyway, but that'll be a whole other thing on sexual alchemy and all of that, because I'm not really here to teach you anything about that. It's something that you have to learn for yourself and find the tools that find you. Um, YouTube itself is very much an oracle of its own, I guess. Like the algorithm or whatever is set up for high vibes. Like even like AI and all of that stuff. Aquarius is about AI and technology. Um, Harbinger of technology. Um, anyway, it's a time. It's a time to like see that your body is also technology. 2111, as I say that. I'm just here to nod at you. I don't know, maybe like I'm being force you to digest it for a second, because I'm not being told I'm done. I'm being told to wait. There, I told them I would wait until the next minute mark because they said I should stop talking then if I want you to digest it actually. But then my face doesn't stop talking, so they're talking on the wrong one. I say talking. It's not, and also, it's not even a specific like somebody's like saying something to me for my specific thing. The way that I think it's called clairsentience something, where it's just like, and there it is, and it's just in my brain, and it's just in my brain, and it's just in my brain. The only reason why 2244 is I say this, the only reason why I've even accepted my title as such is because of people's reactions to what I say. And people often react to me the same way, and so they are most likely reacting to you in the same way. When you let yourself be yourself. Because sometimes you just quiet sitting in the corner. Sometimes you're putting on the show and be like, yay! but, but, when you are authentic to yourself, and you tap into that vulnerability or that whatever it is that, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and spit some knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and spit some wisdom. People go, I've never met someone like you before. I haven't ever thought of it like that before. Who? I prayed for someone like you. You seem so familiar to me. I feel like we were destined to meet. The reason why you get that so often, and the reason why you get those like specific looks, and like, look, sure, maybe you're making it all up, and people just happen to be looking at you. That's a confirmation burp. Not to that, to the thing that I was thinking, which is it's not that. You're supposed to be seen. There's a reason why people find you familiar. It's like people, time is not real, but it is. Like, okay, so like there's a timeline. We always think of it like this. And I've said this several times. We think of the timeline like this, straight across. But really, it's more of a straw that you then turn this way and you can look down it. And there are many layers, slices, slides stacked on top of each other. Have you ever seen those videos where they're like pouring resin and then painting and then pouring and then painting and pouring and painting and pouring and painting in this little bowl, and then turns out, and then it looks like a 3D fish at the end. That's your life. That's your timeline. Look, they know how to layer up a fish. I don't know how to layer up a fish. I just know how to layer up my life by living it, you know? And so that's what I do. I live my life. So do you. You're just living your life. Whatever tapestry of vision, of kaleidoscope, of stacked slides time that it ends up being at once you are done with this world, that will be the picture of you. That will be the impression left on the many patterns of the universe that have to be made in order to eventually completely create a full flooded foundation, because there's so many cracks, and we're literally like using an Etch-a-Sketch to create a solid foundation of Etch-a-Sketch powder. You know what I'm saying? You get it? Like, I don't know if you get it. Same different. Same different. Do you get it? Do you fucking get it or not? You have to live a life that's parallel to things. And some of those parallels are perpendicular to things. And some of those perpendiculars are diagonal to things. And some of those diagonals are parabola to things, okay? We are trying to saturate. That's why there are so many people and so many different lifetimes and so many choices to be made. It's so that this can be a fully saturated foundation before we build onto it. And so whenever you believe the things that I believe, which is about the Tower of Babel, the Tower of Babel got too close to God, is what they said. But it wasn't the fact that they got too close to God. It's that they didn't get close enough to the devil, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. The down, the shadow work, the foundation, the infrastructure that needs to be built into the ground. When you are building on sand, you still need to create a foundation. And there's this whole thing talking about building on sand, building on sand, building on sand. Idiots. Why would you build on sand? The pyramids were built on sand. You can build on sand. You just have to use the proper technology. Whenever for the Tower of Babel, when they say they got too close to God, they were too prideful to assume that they could fail and then prepare for those things. It's like it's literally the tower card. The foundation was crap from the beginning. The soil was rotting. There was a sinkhole forming. There was something happening, and quite simply, the wisdom by observing the land, observing nature to see how things topple over, trees that topple over because their roots are too shallow and the wind was too strong. By simply observing things in a different way, they could have observed science, and they were observing communication. They did that really well because the gift was the communication of numbers and energy and essence and stuff. And so they were able to do a lot of things, but there was still lacking in other things. An entire wheel, the entire circle has to be completed, not just a wedge of the circle. So you can be very smart scientifically. And so this is why the civilization is going to be changing the way that it is, and society is going to be changing the way that it is that each time we've done each little sliver of each thing, right? We've done religion, we've done science, even if you don't remember, even if you can't remember it, even if you can't see it, we've done family based, we've done money based. We're on money based right now. We're on like sex based or like desires based, like and it's happening everywhere all the time, all at once. in different locations, because everything is in a different phase, in a different season, because each thing is learning a different thing for a reason. Um, to create a solid foundation. That's the reason. So then the next time we build a tower, we can actually say, hey, we're good, we're stable, we built that tower, and it's because the tower isn't just straight up, it goes through the planet. It goes down through the planet, and it builds up like a spear through it. Like the actual access point even. It'll have elevators and everything. And the way that you prevent that tower that's so tall that reaches God, the way that you're able to prevent that tower from falling is then being able to predict, because especially, let's say that God is a specific many light years away. So now we're building a tower that is light years away. That's a real long tower out in space. And I don't know if you know about space, but there's a lot of emptiness, but there's also a lot of not emptiness. There's a lot of movement. And I don't know if y'all know this, but we be moving. I don't know if y'all know that. As a planet, we be moving, and then we be moving, you know? And then the thing that we're moving, that be moving, right? So now you have to comprehend so much physics, so much maths, so much esoteric things too, because science is not all science, it's spiritual too. And there are inner knowings, there are inner understandings. To then be able to have that tower survive the movement of the movements of the movements of the movements of the movements to reach a specific point in space-time. So yeah, the tower fell because there is so much we do not know. There is so much that we cannot calculate. There are things that quite simply are fate sometimes. Sometimes things are just lucky happenstance. At least that's what we'll call it. And sometimes the entire universe is conspiring together in order for you to win. Seven 57808 2111. Wow. Oh, and last one. Okay then. Y'all have I'm gonna do stuff. I don't know. It's my 8th day, February 2nd, 2025. Anyway, y'all, in the meantime, lovies, y'all keep a lookout for the numbers and stay synchronized. Let me know what's good.